This is the smell of a warm 3-day-old egg salad sandwich in a wimpy trash bag.
Wimpy, wimpy, wimpy!
Blech. And this is the smell of that same sandwich in a hefty, ultra-strong trash bag with new Fabuloso lemon scent.
Hefty, hefty, hefty!
Smell the difference? When life gives you stinky, get Hefty Ultra Strong with new Fabuloso lemon scent. It smells like clean, freshly picked lemons. So no matter what's inside your trash, you can stop the stink and smell the lemon.
Whether you're looking to build a website for your business, your hobby, your podcast, or just for fun, Pear Networks is your go-to web hosting partner. Not only do we have the lowest domain price in the industry, starting at just $11, we've got hundreds of stunning website templates to help you stand out from the crowd. You're not a techie? Not a problem. With our easy DIY site builders, you can launch your impressive website without any technical know-how. And when it comes to security and updates, don't worry, we've got you covered. Our 24/7 US-based customer support is the best in the industry. Check out Pair.com today to learn more. PAIR.com.
All right, before we start the show today, I just want to thank everyone who's listened and subscribed and shared the show. You are keeping it going and growing, and I appreciate it very much. If you want to further support the show, check out patreon.com/bigtruth. And there's that's a way for you to help financially support the show, and there's 4 different levels of patronage, and I think there's also a free option too if you just want to get in. But that really helps pay the bills here, pays the hosting, allows to expand and whatnot, do a little bit of promotions and whatnot. So all my Patreon subscribers, you are the salt of the earth. I thank you very much. And if you want to get involved, check out patreon.com/bigtruth. If you are not already aware, the merch store is open and it's being handled by a merch fulfillment company. So you can check that out at bigtruthpodcast.com/store. If you just go to bigtruthpodcast.com, you'll see a store tab up there, and you click on that page and then just click on the link, and that'll bring you right to the merch store. All kinds of stuff there. So check it out. T-shirts, hoodies, tank tops, travel mugs, whatever. There's all kinds of weird and unnecessary stuff as well, but funny. You want a big tapestry? Go get it. But yeah, so check that out at bigtruthpodcast.com/store. If you need artwork, right? You got a hole in your wall that you need to cover up because you were in a drunken rage and you punched through the drywall, as we've probably all done. So you need to cover that up, and you don't want to patch it up and paint and all that stuff. Go to tattooflashcollective.com. Now, if you are a tattoo artist and you need flash for your shop, you definitely need to check it out. But if you just in the world of needing some artwork for your house, apartment, garage, cell, whether it's padded or concrete or anything, right? You got a blank spot that you want to fill with some rad art. Go check out tattooflashcollective.com. They have, obviously they have Tattoo Flash, which makes cool art in its own, but they also have posters and prints, all different sizes, books, whatever you need. Online, tattooflashcollective.com. If you use the promo code BigTruth at checkout, you get 10% off your order. If you are a Patreon subscriber, you get a special discount. You get an extra discount. You get a special code that gives you even more off the order. So, membership has its privileges, so check that out. But yeah, tattooflashcollective.com. Today we're doing another episode where we're having listeners call in or come in and talk about their paranormal experiences. So without further ado, we're going to get into it. So hopefully you're listening to this like at 3 a.m, driving down a lonely wooded road, 2-lane road, you know what I mean? Like in the backwoods or in the desert somewhere on a isolated highway, or just in your old creaky house or something. Shut off the lights, dim it, light up a candle or something, get weird, and keep it locked.
Sequence start. 6, 5, 4, 3, 2, 1. We have for liftoff.
All right. Yes. Once again, we have liftoff. I want to thank you for tuning in to this episode of the Big Truth Podcast. And we're doing the second volume here of the Paranormal Call-In show, or whatever you want to call it, but where we talk to people about different weird experiences they had. And in studio, I'm here with G from the South Shore of Massachusetts. Won't say anything to do with the Bridgewater Triangle, but living out just outside the perimeter of that, right?
That's right.
So I know you have a few wild stories. We talked a little bit before.
I sure do.
But how do you want to get started today? Which one do you want to start with?
Well, let's see. There's a lot of different experiences. We'll start with some light ones, and we'll kind of get into like the gnarly, gruesome ones, if you will.
Sure.
So everybody can connect with spiritual stuff, beings, in all kinds of ways. For me, it happens often. Very often. So, for example, I'd be out getting my nails done, and there was a woman who came in and sat next to me, and right behind her, I could see someone like manifesting in a way of, I could kind of see the person, but they were like see-through. But she was looking directly at me, like, I need your attention right now. And I was like, all right, cool. So my nails are drying. This woman and I are making eye contact because she could see that I'm looking at her.
Yeah.
And I'm sure the expression on my face was like,
she's like, why are you looking just over my head?
Exactly. So when I was done, I was like, excuse me, miss. And she looked at me with a soft smile. She was like, hi, how are you? And I was like, I'm good, but I need to say something to you. So sometimes spirits will come and talk to me, and you have someone that needs to give you a message. And she's like, okay. Like, she didn't say okay. It was like a head nod of approval. Yeah. So I leaned in. I was like, do you have someone that is of a female energy, very strong-willed, that recently passed? And she said yes. And I was like, well, the message is, and I gave her the message, and she looked at me and she goes, my aunt passed away at 6 a.m. this morning. And I went, oh, well, she wanted to let you know that, like, you did a great job, and she's very happy with what you're doing and what you did do. And she's like, thank you. Just said thank you. It was totally calm, cool, and collected.
Just another day.
Just another day.
Another piece of news that comes into someone's life.
Yeah. Yeah, and I was so glad she took it so calmly, because we're in a public place. I'm getting my nails done. It's so unexpected at 3 o'clock in the afternoon on a Friday. Like,
yeah. So obviously, like you kind of alluded that you have some psychic abilities, or mediumship abilities or whatever.
Yeah.
But do you ever have a case where you have that type of situation where someone doesn't react so well, matter-of-factly?
Of course. And then sometimes I'll like play it off like, hey, I'm just fucking with you. Like, I'm just kidding. I just wanted to talk to you. Like, I really like shoes. All right, so try to play it off.
Okay. Yeah. So like, what's like a wacky one that happened? Like, where is it like, like with someone like, so wait, actually, if that happens and you have to play it off, does the deceased person that's trying to get the message, do they get pissed about it?
Yeah, they just look at me like, really? And I'm like, what do you want me to do? I don't know. Like, this is the situation that I'm now in. Yeah, and it's just awkward and uncomfortable. But I'm pretty good at like nonchalant, like, all right.
Yeah. That's funny. So what else? What, like, I know you've this always happens, like when we like do like not pre-interviews, but whatever, you know what I mean? Like, talk about the things you're going to talk about, like, already. So I know it's without having to replay it, but like, what are some of the other situations that you've had, like, maybe not like the psychic stuff, meaning like where someone just wants to pass a message on, but you've had some all kinds of different encounters where there was like puckwudgies, and you didn't even know what they were called.
I didn't even know what they were called. So I hate the Bridgewater Triangle. I don't like driving through it. I don't ever hike trails near it, like, or in it. Don't like it at all. You could just feel a vibe. For me, it's always in my stomach, and it's just like, ugh, like an icky feeling. Yeah. So the one time where I actually didn't know I was on trail that was connected to the triangle is where I had like a very unpleasant experience. So here I am, I'm by myself. I'm walking through, minding my own business, starting to feel a little lightheaded, nauseous. Don't know why. There's nothing going on around me. And then it felt like I was being watched. Like all eyes are on me. Like I am the center of attention. And I just kind of like turn and look back, and I'm like, okay, I don't really see anything, but I can feel like a heavy presence. Like, you know, like like that energy. Like if someone's having an argument in the room and you feel that like intense energy, that's like what it felt like.
Yeah.
And then I'm continuing my walk, and now the energy is so heavy on me. I'm like, fuck this, I'm leaving. And I turn around, and as I turn around, I see like these in like the tree line, because I'm on trail, so it's all open, but on the tree line, it's like these little, small, short things. I don't know what they are. And they're looking at me, and they almost had a, not like a malicious intent, but just like a curious, like, what are you doing? Who are you? Why are you here? Why are you in my woods? Like, it's just very uncomfortable. Not that they were doing anything bad, but they definitely weren't good. They didn't give off any good vibe whatsoever.
What did it look like? Or did they even have? Did they have a form?
Kinda, yeah, like little scrunched up face, like gnomes. They kind of look like what today we have, like gnomes. Even though, like, oh, like little statues are cute. These things were not cute. They were ugly. Like
humanoid? Like
very small, and their faces were just like kind of just like scrunched up, like if you smell something bad.
Like troll?
Little troll gnomes.
Because people have described them different ways. Like they've described it like that, or like little fuzzy, hairy things or something.
Yep, definitely like matted hair. Very low to the ground. So I don't know if it was just like kneeling, like trying not to be seen, but I definitely saw them. Or if they were just actually small and that's like their size.
Like how many?
Multiple.
Yeah.
There's like a whole bunch of them, like kind of like crowded together. And I almost wanted to like jump when I got close. I just wanted to like levitate. Like, don't touch me. You don't bite my ankles type shit.
You should. Did you ever watch the Bridgewater Triangle documentary?
I did recently. That experience happened a couple years ago, and I had no like background knowledge of where I live at all. But I did watch the documentary on that, and it was just mind-blowing. I'm like, I know exactly how those people felt, because that's how I felt.
But you saw the dude where it was like under the streetlight, and it was like trying to get it to follow him. It was like, come on, follow me.
Exactly. And I was like, could you imagine if one of those things was like, hey, come here? Like, absolutely not. No.
Well, that's the thing. That's the lore behind them, right? Is that they're like mischievous, I guess, but like sometimes...
Yeah, these ones...
With ill intent, sometimes just whatever. Like, they'll get you lost or get... Like lead you off a cliff type of thing,
like try to like mess with you. But I think just me being me, and I'm so high energy, and I give off a lot of energy too, even when I'm in like my own space. So they're kind of like, they could probably sense that. So
they're probably
like,
what the hell are you?
Yeah, like what is this being? Who are you? Like they could like energy can sense other energy. So it definitely felt me when I felt them before it like manifested to something that I could like physically see.
Yeah. So do you feel like they allowed you to see them?
Yes, definitely. Like they definitely like came forth, cuz like you know, like you could feel like someone looking at you, and like you'll turn around and make eye contact with someone. That's like how it was. It's just like, oh, I'm being watched.
Yeah. The weirdest one is like when you're sleeping and you can tell someone's looking at you and you wake up. Like it's like, I wonder how that works. Like that's just some weird sixth sense that everybody has, right? Like,
yeah, that's exactly what it is. It's like everybody has an energy field, and how like aware you are of yourself and other energies and people around you kind of determines on the experience you'll have.
I also feel like the sleep one is like a leftover thing from like the days when we lived in caves and you didn't know what the fuck was around you.
Right.
Just like protection.
Danger. Your body's in danger.
Yeah. Even if it's just someone looking at you, like, what the fuck are you looking at? Like,
yep, that happens to me too. Like
my dog will look at me in a way. I'm like, what? And I didn't even know she was there. Like, and I'll look. What are you doing? She's on the side of the bed looking at me. Like,
I gotta
time to go out. Yeah, exactly.
So yeah, it's essentially like that. Even like in my house, I clear my house every day. I keep a lot of crystals in the house, selenite, obsidian, keep them together because it kind of like balances the energy. I do like little rituals. Like I don't allow anything in my house but me or anything that is of higher good.
Why do you... Is there something going on where you have to clear it every day, or you just do it as like a precautionary?
Both precautionary, but also sometimes I feel like I take things home. Now I have a lot of like
hitchhikers.
Yes, hitchhikers coming in, and no, thank you. You can stay outside of the door. So like I do a lot of thrift shopping, and thrift shops I could even walk in and and like feel something off of a chair or like a set of shoes like a pair of shoes. And it's just like, oh, I don't want to touch that. I don't want that energy. Like energy will get stuck to things. Objects being like, you see how the Warrens there, how they had that room in their house because it has to be blessed because they have a lot of energy that's connected to an object. Yeah. It's like that. But it's everywhere. Like energy cannot be destroyed. It can be used and manifested, but it's never destroyed. So it can just kind of linger in. Yeah. Get it stuck to things.
So it's something, if you don't do it every day.
Some things will slip
infiltrate. Yeah.
Yep. It'll slip in. I've been sleeping comfortably in my bed and I have a very small bedroom. So there's not a lot of room there. So I'll be sleeping on my bed and I can feel something like come and sit with me. I've woken up to things like looking at me and I'm like, oh, hello. Well, how can I help you at 3 a.m.?
Yeah. And there's no one else around.
There's no one.
They're not attached to something else like needing a message sent or something.
Nope. Just walking in, just like looking at me. Yeah. Or like,
what do you get a sense, what is that? Is it just disembodied spirits or something? Or is it like...
Yeah, some people are just lost. Like it's definitely... The ones that I have seen have been people that are no longer living, but I don't know who they are. Yeah. Like, it's not someone from, like, my past or my friends or, like, somebody else, like one of your friends. It would just, like, appear. Yeah. I've had things knock outside of my window to get my attention, and I never opened the curtain. That scares the hell out of me. I'm like, nope.
Never had the black-eyed children?
Oh, God. You can keep that way over there, away from me. Like shadow people? Yeah. All that's real. That's real.
You've seen that stuff? Mm-hmm. What do you think the shadow people, what do you what's your sense of what that is?
I don't know what shadow people are. Have you ever stayed up for like 3 days straight? So you're kind of in that mindset where you can kind of teeter-totter between both worlds, like a dream state versus like how we are now. And you see those shadow people, they're almost like existing, but I don't know what the purpose is. And they like slightly interact with me. Like all of a sudden I'll be doing something and then you see something on the corner in your eye and you're like, oh, okay. Yeah. Like shadow people. Yeah. They're coming for you.
It's wild. Because we on the last episode, I think I told you about George who had he had like a brain infection and he was seeing a shadow thing, but like every time he saw it, like when he first saw it, it was like kind of farther away. And then every time he would see it again, it was like getting closer and closer to him till the last time he just passed out, and then like went to the hospital and they had all kinds of stuff going on with brain stuff. But I don't know where I was going with that, but we were just talking about shadow people. That's the only other story I have about shadow people. I've never had any interactions with that. But you were talking earlier about like stuff like with different house type haunting scenarios.
Oh, yep.
And you don't have to get into the heaviest one yet, but like you said that there was other ones like that we didn't talk about, like kind of in the pre-interview stuff.
So like, So what I do for work is I'm a certified nurse assistant. So I go and take care of people who are sick, but I do mostly hospice cases or end of life cases. And I've been all over the South Shore, North Shore, everywhere. So different houses hold different energy.
Now, do you think, just not to cut you off from
That's okay.
Like you had told me that, you started seeing spirits, I guess, or dead people.
Since I was a kid.
Do you think that's what attracted you to go work in hospice
Definitely.
Type situations? Yep. That's not like a field for the weak, I guess. You know what I mean? Like
it's not for the weak.
Yeah,
it's definitely not for the weak.
But you got to be able to. You have to have a certain mindset to be able to, because that could be really depressing too. Like you're dealing with people at the end of their life, right? Like
exactly. Like the way I see it, it is. how can I make you the most comfortable to have an easy transition to the next phase?
Yeah.
And I'm not religious, but I'm more spiritual because I've had this gift, we'll call it, my whole life. So other people see it in a different perspective where I see it in a completely different light. Like, I wish I could, like, put you in my head and you can see what I see and feel what I feel. So when someone is actively dying, they come in and out of, like, a conscious state. And I can see what they're seeing too. And not a lot of people know that. Obviously, I'll keep it to myself, but I can almost help them move through that passageway is the best way I could say that. So even when, like, people die, like, that holds that energy, some people, or some spirits, I should say, can just move right along and others get stuck. And then they get stuck in, like, this cycle. So going into different people's houses, depending on the history of the house, I've seen old sailors before, like captains of ships, like in Situate specifically. There was a house that it was originally a barn, but they turned it into, like, a house, and it was absolutely gorgeous. But it had it had a door. And I knew there was a door there without seeing it. It was a rug that was covering it. And when that person left the room to go take a nap, it was my turn because it was a 2-person shift. So the person was on their break and I was in the house alone with the person I'm taking care of. Yeah. I lifted that rug right up and I opened that trap door. And I'm telling you, when I felt that energy in there, it was like, there's somebody down there, and they've been down there a long time. It almost was like of Native American descent.
What was it? Was it bad?
Not bad, but very intense.
Okay.
It was an intense feeling of, like, somewhere, like, people were hidden there. Maybe even African American. Maybe that was a part of, like, the railroad.
Oh yeah.
Whole thing.
That house I told you about, it was my friends that they had if you went into the chimney, up the chimney, there was a secret room off of that.
To hide people.
Yeah.
Yep. It was just like that. That little chamber was just like that. And it was big enough to fit, like, me. Yeah. I'm 140 pounds and I'm 5'2", and the staircase was broken wood, but it was all, like, it looked like clay.
I was gonna say, like, what, like, when you opened it up, could you see anything down there?
The smell was atrocious. I couldn't really see well. Like, I had
atrocious, like something dead is down there, or atrocious just like must,
like musty, mold. Like you can't breathe. Yeah, like mold. Definitely, like not okay to breathe in that air. So I didn't want to stick my face in there, but I did a little bit because I was curious. Yeah. And it looked like it was all like clay that was matted down, dirt. Like a little
dirt,
cave.
like old dirt cellars, but like when the floor gets matted down.
Exactly.
But the walls were like that too.
Yeah, all around. Like not a wine cellar, but like a little hovel.
Or like
just a little hovel.
Like what? Like some like root cellar type stuff.
Yeah, definitely. Like, and you could tell like people were in there for long periods of time. Like, that's the energy that I got from that. Like, that was like, it was like a little visual in my head. Yeah. Like a mini movie. And I'm like, oh, people have definitely died down here and have been hidden down here.
Wow.
Totally.
Did it seem like at one point the room was bigger or something?
Yeah. And over time,
kind of.
Well, the people who made that barn, it was definitely like, could have held multiple people, like up to 10 people, but now it's like compacted. Yeah. And they probably hid it when they remodeled the barn to make it like a house. Yeah.
It's weird though that they would keep the door.
Yes. Yep. Definitely opened it right up. And it was loud too. It was like, I was like, I'm going to get in trouble.
Did the patient wake up?
No one said anything to me. And I'm like, all right, cool. So we'll just tuck that back there.
Wow. So what else? You had so much. Like
I know. I don't even know where to begin.
Yeah. Why don't you get right into the real kind of bad, wild one? You know.
All right. So, have you ever witnessed or felt what pure evil feels like?
You asking me, or are you asking?
No, I'm asking you. I'm asking anyone. Yeah. Anyone who's listening. Yeah. The feeling of pure dread. And just negative fear, like the lowest of the low. I've experienced that multiple times, all over actually. But one house in particular has me in like a chokehold. Like it's hard to even talk about sometimes because there was 3 beings in this house. Beings as in it manifested to the point where I could like physically see them. Like they weren't see-through like how I see other people. It was. But
when they manifested, did it look like people or did it look like, what did they look like?
It looked like a black mass figure, but it had eyes, but there was nothing else. And like the eyes were like abnormally big, like not like human eyes. Like it was like something you would see out of a horror movie.
So when it was like solid though, like you couldn't see, so it was like a solid black mass, but you could make the eyes out.
Yep, that was it. And it was very tall. It was like almost 7 feet tall, like gigantic.
Yeah, and there's 3 of them.
Yep.
And they looked the same.
Yep, all 3 of them looked the same, but you could tell one was more powerful or possessed more like, I don't know what to say. It had more oomph than the other ones.
You said it was more powerful than the other
more
ones.
Powerful. And that was the one that was more dominant. That's a good word. It was more dominant over the other 2. Like the other 2 were like standbys, but this one was like the macho man.
The alpha black shadow, black figure. Whatever, yeah.
Yes, it was so horrifying. So
I don't mean to make light of it. You're laughing. So
yeah, no. Yeah. I mean, it's absolutely terrifying, but I could talk about it now. But at the time, it was like I've never been so petrified. Like it was that type of fear where you literally stop in your tracks and it takes your breath from you and you're like, oh, what the fuck is that?
Yeah.
You're like, is this real? Yeah. Oh my God. My chest was pounding and I'm just like, I'm in danger, red flags, but I can't move my body. Like, why can't I run? I need to run, but I can't move. That type of fear.
So what was and you were younger at that time, right? Mm-hmm. And what was the situation that you saw them? Like, was it just like you were in the room and all of a sudden they were there, or like what?
Yeah,
what happened?
So I was drawn to this house, absolutely beautiful, like an old 1800s colonial type house, really tall ceilings, big windows, beautiful, gorgeous, original furniture. Like, so that had a lot of fireplaces, so that kind of like holds that energy there too. I think there was a couple of fires in that house, so people have died. But what I saw was not anyone who had died in a fire. That was something entirely different. That was not on this plane. That wasn't anything that was living in the physical realm of what you and I are in right now.
So it wasn't the spirit of a person. It was something else.
Demonic. It is completely demonic. So where was I? I was in what would be like the dining room, like the dining hall that goes into the kitchen. They were huge rooms. And I was walking through and I was getting something from the kitchen. Now the kitchen had a fireplace and the sink was in front of me and the fireplace is behind me. So I think I was washing out like a cup or something. And I remember that feeling of dread, like, you know, when like the back of your hair stands up and you're like, oh shit, something's here. And my stomach was in knots and I slowly turned and there it was. It was like peeking out underneath from where the fireplace was. And it was just like.
So it was like a bad Santa.
Yes, it was a bad Santa. Yeah. It was like, I see you, and it knew.
But it was peeking like it was like upside down, like where its head was poking out, but the rest of it was still in the chimney type of thing.
Exactly. It almost had like these like fingertips, like long pointy fingertips, and it was like I see you.
It was like pulling itself down.
Yes, like it came out of nowhere. Like I was perfectly fine going to get a cup, washing a cup, and then all of a sudden I was like, oh shit.
Yeah, wild.
And I remember just looking at it, and we made eye contact, and I remember I just dropped everything, and I turned around, and I went up the stairs, and as I was going up the stairs, I felt it follow me. And now we were having a party up in one of the bedrooms there, so there are like, that's okay. There are several other people in the house, so when I went upstairs, and I wasn't drinking, and I didn't do drugs or anything, I was 100% sober, everybody else was like partying or whatever. And I remember I walked in and I shut the door and I leaned up against the door and people were like, are you all right? I'm like, yeah, I'm fine. Everything's cool. And it banged on the door. Like the music stopped. Everybody looked at me because I'm leaning up against the door and it was like, and people were like, like, what's going on? What do you see? And I'm just like, I can't even tell you.
But they all heard the knock.
They heard it and then turned the music back on and just tried to like ignore it. But how do you ignore something like that?
Did they just think it was someone else? Like someone else was at the party?
They thought I was like playing a trick on them because I was leaning up against the door. I'm like, but you saw the whole door move with me up against it. Like, I'm not joking. There's something here.
But whoever lived in the house, did they have any experiences? Did they go, oh, yeah.
Constantly, but they would just ignore it.
Yeah.
Like, oh, that's just that thing that lives here. Oh, okay, just a thing that lives here.
Yeah. I never want to live in a house where, no, it's just the thing that fucking lives here.
Yeah, it's just that demon that peeks out from the chimney every now and then. Like, absolutely not.
Did they see the same thing? Mm-hmm. So they had
They definitely acknowledged it. They just like chose to ignore it and just coexist, I guess. Horrifying.
Coexist with demons.
Yep.
That's the title of this episode.
Yep. Coexisting with demons. It's real. It's very much real.
So, but that's not where it stopped.
No. And I don't know why. I was at a place.
But at that point, you'd only seen the one.
Just that one.
The one that had poked its head from the fireplace and pursued you up the stairs or whatever.
Yep. It was like right on me too. Like it didn't touch me, but it felt like it could at any point in time. Like it was just like right here. So in that same house, there's multiple stories that come from this house because I was at a place that I should not have been at, around with people that I shouldn't have been hanging out with, but that's where I was at the time, and that's what happened.
Teenager stuff.
Yep, pretty cool. 19, great times. In that same house, somebody threw up or did something, so I was like, oh, I'm going to go downstairs. Now we were upstairs. Downstairs is like the main house, like the main floor of the house. And
upstairs is the bedrooms and downstairs is like the...
Yep, there's like 4 bedrooms and then a full bathroom. So when you go up the stairs, it was like a slight turn and then it would like kind of break off. So you could like see down the stairs from every angle of the house.
Okay.
Like open up like that. Yeah. So I grabbed the dirty clothes or whatever, blanket towels, and I was bringing it downstairs to go do the laundry. And as I'm doing the laundry, I'm just like, throwing it in there. I feel that same energy again, the one that was looking at me from the kitchen. And I looked around, I didn't say anything, but I felt like I was being watched. And over time, you could feel like time is in a few minutes. Over the past few minutes, you could feel it getting like stronger because I was getting more scared, and it was almost as if it was feeding off of my fear. And then it manifested, and I could see it circling like a small black mass, like circling around the ceiling. Yeah. But it was looking at me at the same time. Like, I don't know. It sounds bizarre. Yeah. It's totally bizarre, but that's what was happening. And I'm like, just trying to do the laundry all innocent. Like, oh my God, what is happening? I'm like, did I not get enough sleep? Like, how is this possible? But it manifested itself, like, I feel like from my fear of it. Yeah. Like, oh.
Now, do you think it like chose you because you're sensitive to this stuff and could see it? Or it would sound like the other people, it was just, whatever's the thing that lives here. It's like
definitely a possibility because I'm more open to that.
Yeah, that's what I mean.
So because I'm more open, I'm like an easy target, I guess.
Yeah.
But there was another girl who was kind of new to the group. Her and I were not friends, but I remember her going to the bathroom. She was gone a long time, and I was like, I should probably go check on this girl. Yeah. And when I opened the bathroom door, she looked petrified. I'm like, are you okay? Like, what happened? Like, we're not really friends, but I feel like the need to help you. Yeah. And she's like, I saw something, and it looked back at me, and I went, I know, come with me. Like, let's go. And she left the house and never came back. And it kind of pushed her down the stairs too, because like I said, when you're upstairs, you can look over the railing and see all the way down to the main floor. This girl didn't even say goodbye. She was just like, I'm out. And as she was going down, I should have walked her down the stairs, but fuck her, I didn't. Yeah. And it looked like she tripped, but it was like someone pushed her.
Yeah.
Like she definitely didn't fall, but she stumbled and like her whole body was so tense, and she ran out the door and didn't even shut the door. Like she went right out the front door, gone.
Yeah.
She was gone, never to see her again. I don't even know her name.
Yeah. Wild.
Mm-hmm. Crazy stuff. I'm telling you, like, there are some good things and then there are bad things, and it can be manifested anywhere.
And you said that you felt the same thing, though, like getting pushed down the stairs at that same house, right?
Yep, same house. That house just, I don't know, is just a gateway for bad things.
Yeah. It's wild how living in, I think, this part of the country, I don't know if there's more just because there's more history. But like, you live in some new development in like Arizona, you don't, or whatever,
No,
California or
it's
something,
different.
it's a little different, right?
But even if it's like a new house that's built, it's
the
like
land.
the land, like
land
what
under it.
is here? Like what are you building on top of? Like, for example, the, by my house, the air base there, why are they building houses and condominiums on that land? I hate over there too. Number one, do you know what went down at that Air Force? Do you know how much oil and like you can't grow food in that soil because of the oil that's leaked into it, and all like jet fuel, all kinds of stuff. And then I'm like, oh, we're just going to build houses on top of it. Like, no, that's a terrible idea.
Don't grow a garden if you buy one of those. Yeah.
No, you'll die. Like death, deceased. So yeah, no, that's all bad.
Did you say something happened just recently? You said something happened not too long ago. Is when you say, "Oh yeah, when I come on, there's something." Or did we already talk about that?
That was like at the nail salon.
Oh, that was the nail salon one. Okay, all right.
Let's see. Something did happen recently.
That was the one though. I think you.
That was the most recent. That was a dominant presence of a female being. So the way it comes to me, it comes in different forms. Like, you know how when you're reading a story, you can envision what you're reading? Sometimes it's like that.
Yeah.
Sometimes I can just see things, just know things. Sometimes it comes in a physical form where I can truly see someone, or even like animals. And other times it's a feeling that I get, or I hear something, like there'll be like a whisper, like orange.
Yeah. Now, do you ever get, because you said sometimes you can see people's pets. Do you ever see something like, and then you have to say, hey, did you ever read Doberman to somebody?
Yes. Yep.
And they're like, yeah,
Yes.
No, it's over there.
Another experience was I used to work for Red Cross, and I was on mobiles. So we'd have blood drives like all over the place, and we have little health histories that we have to do to make sure the person's okay to donate. I had this one girl come in, and the second I saw her, I was like, you're coming to me. Like, I called her over to my station, and I could just feel something around her. And I'm sitting there, we're talking, we're friends to this day. This is how we became friends. She's awesome. She was sitting there and she's talking to me. I was like, I'm sorry, this is off topic. After I just took her blood pressure, I put the cuff down, took my thing out of my ears, and I was like, did you recently have a friend who passed away? And the look, and I was like, I was like, you had a male friend who lives in New York that passed away, and he wanted to let you know that he likes what you made for him. I'm like, what did you make? And now she's bawling her eyes up. She goes, he passed away a couple weeks ago. And this weekend, because it was a Saturday blood drive, she's like, this weekend after I leave here, I'm going to New York to give his parents this like a collage of photographs of them throughout the years, because they were friends since like high school, or even before that actually. So she was like, how did you know that? I'm like, I don't know. Also, was there a white dog? She goes, yep, his dog passed away the same week that he did, or something like that. And I was like,
that's wild.
I'm like, there's a little white dog. It was like one of those like poodles.
Yeah.
Like those but it was all white, but like really small, like a miniature poodle. And she's like, how do you know this? And I'm like, I don't know. And like just giving her messages, and I was guessing stuff right before she said it. And she was just like everybody in the blood drive's now looking at me, and I'm like, oh, hi. People are like, do me. Like,
really? Yeah.
Like coming up to me like, how do you know? I'm like, I still have to be a professional.
Yeah. So, because you didn't know at this point that you had an audience.
Yeah.
There, everyone was
Yep.
listening. Like, why is that girl crying, giving blood?
I know, right? We didn't even get to the blood part.
Yeah.
But like, it was pretty intense. Like, it comes, like I said, in different ways, but it also is just like, I could sit next to someone and just immediately like feel them.
That's wild. One thing that's always interesting to me, like you said, and when we were talking, like sometimes things are like a presence of like someone who's deceased, like a spirit, but there's other things. Like,
there are other things.
Like the black beings that you talked about that you feel are demonic. What other types, or the pukwudgie, but what are some other things that you've experienced or come across in your...
I would say different energies.
Yeah.
Like I spend a lot of time in the woods. I go hiking in mountains like in New Hampshire. So for example, I do a lot of solo hikes. I don't always tell people what I'm doing or where I'm going because I live dangerously apparently.
Yeah.
But there's a time where I was on a hike.
It also makes it so stalkers can't follow you. So
exactly.
That's probably smart, right?
Yeah. No, just do my own thing. I'd rather just like go on an adventure. I don't report to anyone. Yeah. So I was on a hike and I'm by myself and I was just doing a day hike. Nothing big, nothing serious, had my backpack on and I'm walking through and you could feel, well, not you, but I could feel the change in energy. Like it felt really dense while I was on the mountain. Like I almost felt like I was started to connect to something that I couldn't really see, or it was just a feeling. Like it wasn't a person. It wasn't like a dead person. It wasn't anything malicious intent. It was just like a connection to like the earth. It was a different energy field where I felt very calm, and I'm sure other hikers have experiences too. Like anybody can do this. It's all about how you protect yourself and how you recognize how things or people speak to you. That's just my perspective. Yeah. But that's another way that I can feel things, is like you just feel the energy of where you are. That makes sense.
Yeah, but it's like you were just not sure what it is. It's just, it didn't feel like a negative thing. It was like a positive.
Yeah, it was definitely a positive. So it was just a different feeling. Like it didn't feel like a person or someone who previously existed that was trying to get my attention. It was just like a thing. A thing. Yeah, no, it's a thing.
It's just wild to hear about the different types of things that could be out there. Like, what about portals and stuff? Like in thin areas of the veil, like what do you have any experience with stuff like that?
Intense. They can be really intense, like different places of the earth, like different parts of the earth, like the Bridgewater Triangle. That to me is like a portal. Plus it doesn't help that people go there and fuck around and like open things and don't close them properly. So like you could feel like the thin veil there too.
Do you think that's just there's areas that are just like that, or do you think that's because people were fucking around? Kind
of both. Yeah. There are places that are just hold that like dense energy to it, that are just like key points where spirits can come through. Whether it's somebody's house or a piece of property or just like a natural, like what do you call it? A natural like state park type thing.
Okay, yeah. So there's a theory that that's why state parks exist, because there's things out there that they're trying to like not.
Oh, definitely. Skinwalkers are real. I don't care what anybody says. Bigfoot, most definitely real. I don't have a personal experience, but I listen to a lot of other podcasts. And you can't tell me that there are people from all over that do the same things that I do, and they all have the same experience. With the same, like they describe the same thing, like skinwalkers or wendigos or a Bigfoot type thing, like from all over the world. Yeah. And all this different folklores and
throughout history, the same
things. From all over the place, and it's very similar experiences. And you're going to tell me that that's fake? No, I think not.
Yeah, no, but there's that theory that a lot of the national forests and state parks exist because deep in them, there's things that they're trying to make sure no one really stumbles across. So that they're like deep in the forest, like not where you'd normally easily.
That's why they say stay on the path and don't veer off the path.
Yeah.
Definitely. I think there are things out there that live on our plane. Yeah. That they know about, but they don't want us to know about.
Yeah. Yeah, it's wild. Like, and that's even with like the when you say planes and stuff. There's a lot of thinking now on like some of those cryptid type things like Bigfoot or Sasquatch or whatever, that they might just be things that cross dimensionally. Like they show up, then they
like
go
a portal.
Back. Yeah, leave, like whatever. That's why you don't ever
really truly see them, because they're able to hide.
Yeah, it's wild. Mm-hmm. You ever hear any knocking or anything? Like wood knocks or anything, like tree knocks and shit, like when you're out there in the woods?
I've heard something be like, woohoo. And I'm like, I will not acknowledge.
That doesn't sound very menacing, though.
No, but
Sound like it would be a bird.
it could be. I mean, but it had a different voice. It was not a bird whistle. Yeah. That was something.
I'm just messing with you. I know you probably know enough to differentiate that. No, but I guess with the Sasquatch, a lot of it's like you hear like tree knocks, like they're like knocking.
Yeah,
knocking
not like a woodpecker, but like someone actually being like
hit or like.
Or like an actual like boom.
Yeah.
Like a heavy hit, like they took a sledgehammer.
Yeah, like they're hitting it with with a branch or something or a limb or something. Mm-hmm. But you've heard that stuff?
Yep.
Yeah, crazy. I haven't. When I was in the Freetown Forest, all I got was anaplasmosis from a tick. That's as much as I got. It's all like weird shit, like people trying to carve satanic stuff in the trees. That's about all.
You got a tick bite. Yeah, that was foul.
my experience. I won the tick lottery. There was only 3,000 cases of it in the country too.
Oh wow.
Yeah, that's what I got.
Very good. I don't want that experience.
Probably, yeah. I'd rather have gotten spooked by something weird.
Yeah, immediately leave.
Yeah,
I'll immediately leave. Like, nope. And that's why I cleanse my house so much, because I don't know what I'm taking home, whether it's like an energy that gets attached from where I'm at, or if it's like, if I purchase something and bring it home, no, it's not coming in my house.
Yeah. So I mean, the average person, right, that isn't as open or as experienced or as receptive to this stuff, do they just got shit coming with them they don't even know about? Or if you're not open to it, does it not even really affect you? Like that's, you know what I'm saying by that?
I mean, I do. I understand exactly what you're saying. I think
someone picks up a pair of shoes, they don't feel anything, and they just buy it, but that shoe might have something attached to it. Does that thing, can it fuck with the person, or does it just?
I think it can, but the person may not acknowledge it or recognize it, or notice weird things going on and then just not be open-minded to it, so they just ignore it. And sometimes if you don't give it your attention, it'll go away.
Yeah.
Sometimes it doesn't.
So some things kind of thrive off of being acknowledged or recognized or something.
Yep.
But
that's why, like, a lot of times people will be like, just don't say anything, don't acknowledge it, just go home. Yeah. Like, just leave. Just wherever you are, whatever you're doing, leave.
So if you're ever in the woods and you feel something weird, just
go home. Yeah. The mountain ain't going nowhere, but you might, so just go.
Do you ever hear about the stuff where like people are like found, like they're like a kid goes missing, but then they find him on like a mountain like 50 miles away like 2 hours later or something? It's like, how did that happen?
How like, what took you? Like, how does that happen? I've seen that a lot. That's another thing with national parks. It's like, there's something going on over there, Truth. There's something going on that they're hiding from us, but warning us of.
Yeah, that's what the whole if you're interested in that, like talking to the general listener, I think Missing 411 is a series that addresses some of that stuff. You ever see any of that? Do you ever see the one where they're getting harassed by Sasquatches and the dudes are like, they like lock themselves into their camp and you just hear like chaos going on outside, like Sasquatches going nuts, like they're like smashing like trees and stuff. Like,
that's crazy. No, I didn't see that.
Yeah, it's wild stuff. I don't know if it's real or not, or staged or whatever. It doesn't look it, but you know, people can be good actors.
They could be, but who would make something up like that?
Yeah.
Like just to get attention? I mean, they can. People are like that, but that's pretty exotic.
Yeah. That's how I try to approach all this. Like, I don't know what's real and what's not. I stay open to it. It's interesting stuff. And, you know, obviously some people have more experience with stuff. I've had very limited experiences, but a little bit, you know what I mean? Like orbs and stuff like that. But it's wild, you know? It's the world's more interesting if it's all
It
real.
is. I kind of just accept it is what it is, and just like, I see things, some people don't. Some people will be like, you're bullshit. And I'm like, all right, yeah, I am. And then just continue on because it's still happening to me, regardless if you believe it or not.
Yeah.
I just choose not to really speak about it until recently. I've been sharing like stories or experiences. Or if someone asks me, I'll straight up tell them.
Yeah. It's funny because the psychic we had on an episode a while back, she kind of said the same thing. She's like, she didn't talk about it for the longest time. And then it sounds like at some point you're just like, all right, fuck it. This is
Yeah,
what's
like I don't
happening.
care about anybody's opinion. And if
Yeah.
I see something like coming at me or that needs to be vocalized, I will.
Yeah. It's mostly that you don't get harassed by the thing, right? Like,
Most of the time, no. It's,
you know what I mean? It's like, if it sounds like, from what you're saying, is like if something's trying to tell you that it has a message for someone and you ignore it, it sounds like they're going to just be like, yo, what the fuck?
yeah, eventually it'll go away. Like if I'm like, all right, this is not the
time,
yeah,
place, yeah.
like funerals. Yeah. Yeah. Sometimes I'll be at funerals and I'll see the person. I'm like, do not interact with me, please. Like, this is not the time or place. This is not the time or place whatsoever. There have been times where I've had people ask me things and then I tell them and they just like get mad at me. I'm like, then why'd you ask me?
Oh, like ask you, do you see anything around me? And then if
Yep.
you tell them, then they're like, weird.
And they're like, you're lying. Who do you know? And I'm like, I don't know anybody. I just see what I see, and that's that. So, or sometimes I don't even see anything. Some people are just so turned off, and they're like, you don't know anything. You didn't talk to my grandmother. I'm like, your grandmother had nothing to say to you. I don't know. Like, maybe I'll come back in a couple days, and I'll call you. Like,
Yeah. Has that happened before? Where you get something like a message later?
Yep, definitely. Yeah. Well, it comes like a couple days later. I'm like, you know, because sometimes I'll close myself off to protect myself.
Yeah.
I need to be able to protect myself because it takes too much energy out of me to where I like almost plateau and I'm like, oh, I feel sick. I get sick after. So, so I can go in public and turn it off. But when I turn it off, sometimes it's hard to turn back on. So people will ask me things and I'm like, not right now. So I got like my force field around me, like nothing's coming through.
How do you learn how to do that? Like, how do you learn how to shut it off? Like
A lot of practice.
Well, what's it entail? Just like a mindset or something, or
Yeah. Well, your mind.
I know it's more than that, but it's
yeah. It's how I protect myself is like I kind of picture myself in like a white light, like a bubble where nothing can come and hurt me. Because like sometimes things don't really want to hurt you; they just take too much energy out.
Yeah.
Like little energy vampires everywhere.
So
like
even unintentionally.
Exactly. Like it can be stressful. Like going to the supermarket, I'm like, oh God, I just need oatmeal. And there are 4 people looking at me. God damn. Like, leave me alone. I don't even know who you belong to. There's nobody else in the aisle.
Yeah. It's going to be wild.
It is like to see it all the time. Like it's a persistent thing. It's all the time. Like it's not, I can't really control it, but I can control how I react to things.
Sure.
So I have a really dark sense of humor. Not everybody likes it. Not everybody can relate to me. So
I mean, that's you have to have that if you're working in hospice, right? Like,
yeah.
that's how you get through it.
I've seen, okay, so this happened a couple years ago. I watched somebody's soul sit up out of their body and like look around and was like, cool, and got up and walked out. Like full blown, like apparition, whatever you want to call it. Like, cause I do postmortem care too. Cause I want, if the family's coming to see the body before the undertaker comes, take them to the morgue.
You got to have them a little bit presentable.
Yeah, because like seeing a dead body's not pretty.
No.
Not really pretty at all, especially depending on how they died. So I try to make it as nice and like, you know.
Sure, presentable,
as
for lack of a better
possible.
word,
Yeah. So I was doing that one time and I'm like, okay, I don't pronounce people dead. That's a nurse. I'm not a nurse. So I had someone, the nurse was there and she's doing her thing, doing her paperwork. And I'm like, okay, wash the person, dress them nice. Like you fold the blankets a certain way, depending on like the religion of the person, you have to face them towards the east or have like necklaces, jewelry, whatever. So I'm doing that. And with this lady, she didn't have any like religious preference. And I folded the top of the blanket down. Now she looks nice. And I'm like appreciating, like, all right, here you go, my little lady. I say my prayers. I open up a window just in case. And I turn around to put all like my cleaning supplies back into the bathroom. And I look over at her and it looks like she just sits right up, looks around. And I was like, nice, like I'm out, like bye. And she stood up like how you normally would like sit out of a bed. Like I watched her feet touch the floor. And she just got up and left. And then that same moment, I was in a facility, I heard the door alarm go off, like if someone opened the door. That's and nobody was there, because me and the nurse are the only people on this floor in this section of the building.
Yeah, that's wild.
And it cleared itself. Like you have to have like a buzzer, like a beeper to clear the door. And it was just like a couple like, and the nurse and I looked at each other like, Nancy's out. She's out. She's gone.
So did she just like walk and disappear, or did like walk into the different room? Like
no, she like full blown left. Like if I were to stand up right now and walk over towards that motorcycle,
she walked out of the room.
She was out. That was the funniest one to me, because I was just like, oh, she was ready. Bye.
Yeah, it's wild. Well, yeah, I mean, there's a lot to digest here for people.
Yeah, I could go on. I really could go on.
Yeah, we'll have to have you back for the next one. We're like an hour in.
Really? That was an hour?
Almost 51 minutes in.
Wow, I feel like that was only like, I could talk all day.
Yeah. It's wild stuff. Well, I mean, this is going to be an ongoing thing, so we'll have it.
I'll be back.
Yeah, you'll have all new ones.
Yeah, pretty much.
If you got to do me a favor, though, if you're out and you see the Puckwudgies again, you got to...
I'll call you.
Talk with them a little bit, though. Find out what's up. What do you guys...
Do they speak English? Are you Italian or what are you?
Yeah. What are you guys doing? Yeah. But the way, just don't follow them anyway.
Right. Maybe I will just be like, all right, so what are we doing here? Where are we going?
Yeah, you got to go back to the village. The village.
Oh, God. No, I'm not doing that. They might get stuck on me.
Yeah. All right. Well, hey, thank you for coming on.
Absolutely. Thanks for having me.
Yeah. All right. All right, man. We're live on the first. I guess we're partially video podcast. You know what I mean? Like this segment's going to be video, but the whole episode will also be audio only, because there's more segments than this one. But for the people that are just listening to the regular episode on audio, you don't know what I'm talking about. I got this going on film too, and it's my man. All the way from Austin, Texas. My man, who the artist formerly known as El Guy, is now known as El Duder this week. We don't know what it'll be next time he's on the podcast. He changes his name every time because he's a mysterious motherfucker from the plains of Texas. But we've been having some, working out technical kinks. I wanted to do this first one with video, like a friend of mine, because I knew it was going to be a mess doing setting up the audio and the video stuff, and we've been fucking around for about an hour now. But I think we got it kind of reasonably good. But I don't know if you guys remember. Dude was on the podcast before. We were mostly talking about motorcycle chopper stuff and punk rock stuff. But we're friends in regular life, and off mic we've had a lot of conversations about weird and paranormal stuff. And growing up in Texas, you experienced stuff that might not be the same stuff that we experience here in New England, and I think it'll be an interesting thing to hear about. Like I know. We talked a lot about the house, one of the houses that you lived in when you were younger, and a lot of weird shit happened there. So why don't we jump in and talk a little bit about that? I know you kind of already started doing the intro, but let's just retrace the steps.
Yeah. So shit, how do I break it down? I grew up in a small fucking place called Valley, man. It's 956, right? It's how do I call it, man? It basically borders Mexico. It's all those like crazy ass border towns. Well,
okay.
We had a ranch like 20 minutes away from the border, depending how fast you drive. And on this ranch, I kept hearing stories from, just fucking neighbors and shit. I thought they were just trying to freak me out or whatever the fuck. But apparently my property, had about 250 people that died on it. I mean, people always try to embellish stories, but that's just the side that I got.
But died how? Like in what? Was it like a
it was, I guess, back when they first started mining for oil or whatever the fuck they call it, they didn't replace the amount of oil that they were pulling out with salt water. So apparently that's the thing. I don't know.
Oh, so it was a mining accident. Or not mining, but what do you call it when you
oil rig?
Yeah, it was a rigging accident.
Yeah, it was a rigging accident. We'll call it that. So it was early on. They didn't know a lot about, I guess, fucking pulling oil out of the ground. I mean, so the whole thing, it basically collapsed. And I remember as a kid, there was this big fucking crater in my backyard, and it was massive. I always wondered, dude, like, what the fuck happened here, man? It seriously looked like an asteroid hit. Well, apparently my neighbors were telling me, nah, there was an accident there and a bunch of people lost their lives. So I was like, oh shit, that's crazy. But
so the feature of the crater was still there from the blast.
Yeah.
Wow.
No, well, it didn't blow up. It sunk in and it created it's crazy. It had this big fucking crater there. I used to just kind of roam around when we first moved there, and I would get freaked out. It felt like somebody was stalking me one day. Not like stalking me, but kind of like how a big cat stalks its prey. Basically, I'm walking to the backyard, and then halfway through the property, I start having a weird feeling like something's watching me. Almost like when you're a kid and you're trying to you're trying to run for the door because you feel like somebody's chasing you. So you're trying to turn on the lights on the way through. You know, you're just fucking hauling ass through the hallway.
And was this at night or during the day?
Broad fucking daylight, dude.
So that's weird because it's more understandable to get like a weird creep feeling in the middle of the night, especially in an area that's like wide open and whatnot. Or like, was it mountainy or was it just wide open like plains or like
it was wide open, straight, a bunch of mesquite trees, tall grass. Man, but coming back to that, I remember when I was in high school, a bunch of buddies that came over to the house, and they wanted to go ahead and, you know, we're riding fucking four-wheelers, right?
Yeah.
And I'm riding my four-wheeler. It's at night, right? Can't see shit. A friend of mine, she had her camera. She's taking pictures, you know, kid shit. And we're fucking hauling ass through the backyard. And as I'm hauling ass on the way back, like from the way back to the front yard to the front, I'm hauling ass, dude, and I feel like something's chasing me. It was fucking weird, man. A friend of mine said it almost looked like somebody was like running behind the four-wheeler, and it felt like something was on the side of the four-wheeler. But
so your buddy saw it?
Yeah, it was a weird shadow. And growing up as a kid, I would see something called shadow people.
Yeah.
And I couldn't really talk about it because anytime that I brought something like that up, my mother used to beat the shit out of me. So. I mean, when somebody beats the fuck out of you for talking about shit you're saying, you tend not to talk about things.
Now, so I mean, I know parenting in the 80s and 70s and 90s was a little different. Was it? Did you ever talk to her about that afterwards? Like, were the beatings because she didn't want you to dwell on this stuff, or like, do you know what I mean? Like, was there a reason?
She was a Catholic.
Oh, okay.
Yeah, it was. We also didn't always see eye to eye.
Yeah.
So I was a not sheltered kid, but I didn't talk to anybody. I kind of stayed to myself. You know, I didn't really talk to many kids. So when I did get the opportunity to, I would go out there and I would, you know, hang out and try to do what every normal kid's doing, playing outside. So that's exactly what I'm trying to do on this property, but it was the scariest shit growing up for me. I remember this one other time, there are a few other things, that same property I'm on the phone, right, with an ex-girlfriend of mine, Misty. We're chatting it up and I'm walking the whole, you know, front of the walkway. So right before you get on the property, you got to walk like, an acre and a half to get to the house. And so I'm like, just kind of pacing back and forth, walking the distance, talking on the phone. And just to kind of put it into perspective, there's trees around these properties, but your neighbors really aren't that close.
Yeah.
Like they could be an acre or 2 acres that way. Towards the back, it'd be 10 acres away and you would never see anybody. So when you see lights, that's how you can tell where somebody's house is. And these roads at the time didn't have lights, like road lights. So you're in the fucking dark.
Yeah. No street lights, nothing. Yeah.
Yeah. So I'm looking in the back of my property and I could see this like red light. And I'd never seen this light before, coming from my neighbor's house. So I'm thinking, oh shit, they they set up a new post. So I'm kind of trying to move my head around, trying to see if I can get a break with the branches, and just to kind of distance the light, just to kind of tell apart. Scariest fucking thing, dude. I'm doing this shit, and then I start to realize that this other light comes on, and it opens up like basically like an eyeball. And they're right next to each other, and then I can see a silhouette.
And like, how far from you?
Maybe about half an acre.
Oh, okay, so it's still little.
It was fucking close, dude. I mean, it was enough to where I could see. I didn't see anything breaking the light, but then you start seeing the silhouette. And this property, there's so much bad shit that's happened there. Just weird circumstances that have happened on this property. And in the same area, my sister, man, she lost her fucking finger out of nowhere. We had a big solid wooden door on one of the houses, and the door fucking slams out of nowhere. I mean, it was hard enough to fucking shake the whole house. And then I hear my sister. It wasn't
like a windy day or nothing, right?
Yeah. And all I hear is my sister fucking screaming, and I turn around, and she was walking out, but she had her hand right there at the doorway. Well, sliced her fucking finger off. It was just weird shit like that.
When just to go back to something you were talking about earlier, when you were riding and you felt like something was chasing you, and like even your boy saw like a shadowy figure chasing you, like what, like did it at a point, did it just dissipate, or did it go away, or did you outrun it? Like what we didn't wrap that up. What happened with that?
Oh, so there was a weird section of that property. It was like there was basically there was a certain point where they wouldn't pass. So once you would pass that little threshold, they couldn't pass that. I don't know what the fuck was going on, but they just couldn't pass that line. So
certain weird shit like the shadowy people would only stay within a certain perimeter within the property.
Yeah. But there's stories that go back to even one of my uncles, and he never spoke about it, but my mother did. And this is years later, right? But she said once she finally started getting comfortable with talking to me about this kind of stuff, she told me that her brother had already dealt with that. So he had seen these kind of things, and maybe that's why she didn't want me to bring it up. But it was super crazy.
Were you forbidden to go to any part of the property or anything? Was that part of it too?
Nah,
no.
I wouldn't tell her. Growing up as a kid, if I ended up telling her, she'd beat my ass again.
Yeah.
I just knew better not to. But with that being said, she used to tell me, like, I don't know how you see things, and I don't. Like, you must be, the evil one. Yeah. And you're bringing shit. So maybe
she wasn't blaming it on drugs or anything. She was blaming it on being evil.
Yeah, fucking. Maybe it's a big fucking Baphomet on my leg.
Was self-fulfilling prophecy there?
Yeah, right.
So what else? Your sister. Were they able to save the finger?
No. It was pretty fucked.
Yeah, that sucks.
It wasn't a clean break. It was like basically
a smash.
I guess from when it like fucking. Yeah.
Yeah. What else? Anything else on in that property or?
Yeah, around that property and then just around the area. So this is going to correlate when my mother finally, from the time where she tells me that to where she finally sees something, because other friends had already told me, and I didn't tell them shit, but they would tell me, hey, dude, last night when we were like fucking around, we were seeing shit. And then I had another buddy of mine. He was hanging out with me. I had a bunch of fucking reptiles back then. He comes over to the house and he wanted to see my stuff. So I showed him all my stuff, but he spent the night and he told me, hey man, last night, like when we were kicking it, there was something in your backyard. And I was like, what do you mean something? Like a dog? And I was just basically trying to avoid the conversation.
Yeah, yeah.
And then he was like, nah, man, like it was like some weird person walking around. I'm like, oh, did he walk like? And he's like, yeah, I did this whole weird stance. And I was like, yeah, that's exactly what I saw. I was like, but the look on his fucking face was like, you know about that? I'm like, yeah, dude. That's why I did the little fucking, it's creepy, dude, because I'm going to see if my friend Liz has the photos, but she's the one that I was telling you was taking pictures that day.
Yeah.
All of the photos with me in them have like orbs and all these like weird shadows in the background. And a friend of mine, she had told me, hey, Liz has these photos of you and she wants to delete them because the only photos that you're in are they all have something in there.
Yeah, yeah.
Like some creepy shit. And I was like, it's not like I fucking planned it, you know, we're just kids.
So you think they were following you around specifically?
Yeah, that's the weird thing too, because my girl tells me that all the time, man. She's like, hey, dude, like, you bring shit around. Like, shit just kind of like manifests, you know?
Yeah.
I don't know. And I just try not to pay attention to it. I feel like if I put, like even me talking about it right now, I told her I was going to be doing this podcast and she's like, just be careful and don't talk too much about it. Cause anytime I talk about it, it kind of like gives it energy and shit just happens to come out.
Yeah. Yeah. That's wild. The other interview I did, the girl G said kind of the same thing. Like if you give it energy, it'll manifest more or build up.
Yeah. And it's kind of, yeah.
Oh no, sorry. But I was gonna say, what, like, can you describe what the things like? Cause like, I'm not used to having video. So being able to see you like show like how it was walking, like, was it like translucent or was it like solid?
It was
like solid black.
For any of the other viewers that,
like, could you see? I don't like with black with shadow figures. Sometimes people say they're translucent. Sometimes they say it's just like solid black. You can't see through it.
So for some of your listeners, if they've seen shit like this, they'll all attest to this. They're darker than black.
Okay.
It's fucking eerie. And when you see something that big, it almost feels like there's...
How tall was it? How tall was it?
Like there's something getting sucked out, dude. Like you're kind of like, you're not paralyzed, but it feels like it's like something's almost coming out of you. And it's the nastiest fucking feeling. So it depends, man. I've seen them in clothes that are, you know, my height. And then they're on that property. There used to be like 3 big motherfuckers and they were massive. They just didn't look like people. It just looked like one big fucking hulking beast, dude. I can't explain it. Like it was big. Wow. Like
I've, from what I've heard from other people and from, you know, listening to other podcasts, did it have like glowing eyes or anything, or was it just solid black?
Yeah. Well, those were that was what I was telling you before, that red light that I saw that opened up. That's when I was able to actually see the actual full figure. And then that's when I realized that's not a fucking light.
Oh, it was like one of the things.
Yeah. And I went hauling ass inside, dude. And like, I locked myself in my room and my mom was right there when I ran inside, like all scared and shit.
Yeah.
And she's like, what happened? I'm like, not getting my ass beat today.
Yeah. Mountain lion. There's a mountain lion. Yeah.
Yeah, exactly.
How old? I meant to ask you. Like, were you a teenager around this time? Like, how old were you roughly in this time frame?
I must have been like 16, 17. But I had been like when that happened. I'd been seeing this shit since I was a kid, man. I used to only see like shadow people out of the peripheral, and it was like a lot of them, man. It was weird, but I tried not to pay attention to it. It was kind of, I would see other shit like. Yeah. It was, I just saw a lot of weird shit growing up as a kid. And I'm not crazy because other people would see this shit too.
Bro, the girl G that was on talked about the house she was in. She saw 3 of them as well. Like, you know, that's why I'm like, I'm not making this shit up. It's like crazy. Like, it's like, you know, so it's like weird. She saw 3 at a house, but here in Massachusetts. So,
and 3 is kind of a weird number, man. Cause even through my family, we all, like, I saw 3 of these fucking big fuckers,
the
right?
Big ones,
and
yeah.
Yeah. And 3 is like a bad number in my family, dude. I'm not saying like, oh shit, but anytime somebody dies, there's 2 others that die right after within that month.
They always say that's like that's a saying, a colloquial saying, like bad things come in 3. So like,
oh no shit.
No, that's literally a saying. Like, it seems like I get it, man. I've experienced that as well, you know.
So when my mom finally realized that I wasn't full of shit, this is a good one. So me, my sister, my mom, stark as shit. We're going to my grandfather's house, which is about 20, 30 minutes away, and we're going to our house. We're almost to our house. We're like maybe 3 minutes away. More like 3. We're getting around the corner, and I see this fucking orb, dude. It's like this ball. And it's in the middle of a field. It's basically, I think they use it for corn. And I thought there was somebody in the middle of the fucking field, but I just kept looking at it.
What color?
And I told my mom to stop the car.
What color was it? Just out of curiosity.
That's the crazy thing. I'm going to get to that.
Okay.
So I tell her, hey, stop the car. And she's like, why? And remember, there's no lights out here. Like, spotted fucking, maybe somebody's got one on their property. And she's like, why? And I'm like, look to your left, dude. And she looks and she's like, what the fuck is that? And my mom doesn't really cuss.
Yeah.
And she's like, what? Like, she's freaking the fuck out. And I'm looking at it and I'm like, I've never seen this kind of shit before. So it's this glowing fucking ball. And it's slowly going across this fucking ranch, and you can see the floor where it's like you can see the shine from the light around it.
It's illuminating like the ground under it.
Yeah, and you can see the grass clearly where it's moving. It wasn't that far, man. This is like half an acre away. It's not that fucking far. I can see it clear as day. And the colors in this thing, I've never seen this shit before. I work with like crazy LED lighting and all that.
Yeah.
The only way that somebody can produce this kind of stuff back then, it wasn't possible. Nowadays, yeah, it was like a fluid light going through it. There was like crazy greens, blues, like all these weird fucking colors just mixing in, like almost. I can't even think of the words, man, but it was weird. It was just flowing through this ball and just moving around. And it almost became aware that we were looking at it because it started moving slowly, and then it stopped. And then it hauls ass at an angle. Like it takes off into the air. And I was like, what the fuck? It was a trip and I didn't see shit.
Yeah.
And maybe it was my imagination that I thought I saw smoke behind it. I could have been, I mean, it's been years. I don't know at this point, but so we're not even going to go with that. But we passed by that the next day, going down that same road, and the same angle that I remember that fucking thing taking off. Half of that fucking field, straight line, was fucking burned, all black, charred, and the other side was fucking good, and it was a straight fucking line across. You know how hard it would be for somebody to get a fucking straight line through dry grass or dry brush?
That's wild.
Yeah,
man. That's wild. Yeah, that was the only time you saw one of those?
Yeah, first and only time. And I was listening to this podcast called Lost Podcast on the Left, and they're talking about that. Yeah. Like, they're talking about, like, they called, some people call it ball lightning.
Yep.
Well, other people had accounts of those, and then it kind of correlates animal mutilations.
Yeah. Well, so ball lightning is a natural phenomenon, though. Like, and it doesn't just move and then stop and then take off in another direction. Like, you know what I mean? Yeah. That seemed like it had something under intelligent control, right? Like,
yeah, it was aware.
It was aware. Yeah. Ball lightning is not.
Yeah.
Yeah. So, Oh, so we were saying they tie that in with what'd you say, with cattle mutilations and stuff?
Well, animal mutilations. There would have been like cattle mutilations around that area, I believe. Like this is quite a bit of ways ago. But you're also talking about a time where people used to talk about shit like the chupacabra. That area.
Yeah.
You would hear nutty shit. But seeing is believing. If I see it, it's fucking real, dude. And it happened. I'm not going to try to fucking, pick something up that's not there. So anyways, there was always weird shit happening around that property. So shortly after I saw that, going back to like animal mutilations, we ended up losing a goat, and it could have been a bunch of other shit, right? It could have been coyotes or whatnot. I mean, this thing was fucking shredded. We ended up finding the body. This thing was in pieces.
Yeah.
And then it could have been an animal for sure. It looked pretty like messy. And then the weird thing is I thought it was our neighbor. And she was a vindictive bitch, man. She was a terrible fucking human being. She had already given us warnings about our cats. My sister had cats, right? And we thought that the neighbor got a hold of one of these and mutilated it and put it at our front door. The weird thing was that it was a baby black cat, and it was kind of cool, man. I mean, it's the first black cat I ever owned. Pretty rad. But it's like they surgically or just whatever, cut it open. They cut the head off, the limbs, the torso. They pulled everything out of the inside, and then they cut the tail off, and they displayed it on my front fucking door. So I show up I wake up, I come out of the house. That's the first thing I see on my fucking doorstep.
Yeah.
Was my fucking cat. I went over to the neighbors to go ahead and fucking speak my piece. I'm not a nice guy. Even at that age, man, I was an asshole. Yeah. And, dude, the sincerity in their voice, they didn't fucking do it.
Yeah. Well, I mean, it takes either a certain type of psychopath, you know what I mean? Like to do that or something like you said, like evil and supernatural was trying to send you a message.
Yeah. Yeah. It was weird, man.
Did anything else like that happen, or did anything else come of that?
No. I kind of just, I left it at that.
Yeah.
I got into it with the neighbors, and I did my way, but they didn't. Yeah.
But did anything else ever happen, like with any other pets or anything?
No, that was it. And the only reason I actually thought it was the neighbors was because they had already. I mean, they weren't being so nice about our cats going over. They're fucking cats, dude. You know,
you can't do what they want. Yeah, you can't corral them.
So there was that, and then there was another time a friend of mine was dropping off. She was dropping me off over at that ranch, and we're almost there, dude. But I'm like about 2 gates away from my gate, and it's a little bit of distance. So we're getting there. She's dropped me off. A friend of mine, Maddie, from South Texas, and I look over to we're both going down this road, right? You can kind of see, like, it's night. You can kind of see shadows from the headlights. You know, you're passing grass and shit. But there's this one shadow that stands out above all. It looked like a dude was just kind of hanging out, like just chilling on a mailbox. And he was wearing a fucking hat. And I think you know where I'm getting at with this. He's wearing a hat, and he's got a jacket on. Some people claim it's somebody called the Hat Man.
The Hat Man, yeah.
It's a fucking shadow. But we couldn't really. I mean, she didn't bring it up, and I didn't bring it up. We're just fucking driving down this road, and I see this thing, and it looks like a fucking dude there with a hat. Mm. And the closer and closer we get, it seems like it disappeared into like a black mist, and it just kind of like, not like a black mist, it's just like it disappeared like a normal shadow would, you know, when you're passing by. But he was a clear fucking like image. I mean, just a silhouette of a fucking man there.
Yeah. What?
So I asked my.
Oh, sorry. What kind of hat was it? Like a cowboy hat or a fucking?
No, like a brim hat. You know, like a hipster hat.
Yeah, hipster hat. Not a top hat though, right?
No, it's one of those hipster hats.
Okay.
Yeah, fucking.
It's one of my unnatural one. You know how everyone has irrational pet peeves. I hate when people wear top hats. I don't like. You know what I'm saying?
Yeah,
like,
I'm not a fan.
I get if you're in a full tux and you're doing something like black tie, maybe, but like you're in jeans and a fucking in a vest or something, and you're wearing a top hat. Fuck you, dude.
Yeah.
Sorry, man. That's an aside. But so you see the for lack of a better term, the Hat Man, the shadow, and it was another type of shadow figure, right? It wasn't like a full being, right? It was just like it was black.
Well, it was the full like apparition, like it was the full like.
You could see a face and everything, or
no, just a silhouette. It was so dark. I mean, those things, they're darker than black.
Yeah,
they just kind of stand out at night. They stand out in the dark. That's a badass black.
Yeah. Now, did your friend see it too?
Yeah. So when we passed it, I just kind of like, I was like, did you see that? She's like, shut the fuck up. And I was like, so you saw it? Shut up, because I got to drive back that way. I was like, okay. That's fucking words I'm gonna fucking say.
Yeah.
Yeah.
It's gonna be a weird natural thing for some people just to kind of shut down with that, right? Like, just shut up. I don't want to talk about it. You know.
Yeah, but she had already known there was things out there. She had seen stuff in the past. A lot of people had seen things on that property. But it was, I mean, shit, that whole fucking area of Texas is covered in blood, dude. Like, there's so much fucked up shit out there. What else? There was another time. This is shortly after I moved to Austin. I moved out to Austin. Fuck, man, I don't remember. Shit, this is 2008, I think. 2009, something like that. But I moved out with this one crazy fucking chick. She was just she wasn't like psycho. She wasn't loony. She was just fucking psycho. So
okay,
yeah. And she kind of tried to start practicing like I don't know, fucking silly shit like Wicca or some bullshit. And then she started trying to like channel spirits and all kinds of shit. I'm looking at her like, I've seen some shit.
Yeah.
And you don't want any part of it. So, she started doing stupid shit in the house. And then I started kind of looking into like what she was doing. And then it was this feeling like I was getting into like what she was doing. Well, she started seeing shit around the house. And I remember this one night, I went for a walk. She calls me on the phone, scared shitless. And she's like, baby, like freaks the fuck out. She had seen something looking at her from the restroom. Like this creepy fucking, I guess she claimed it as a demon. And I did that same move that I did with my buddy. And she's like, oh my God, you've seen it. And I was like, that's kind of when I started realizing that maybe this thing's just attached to me.
Yeah.
Because other people have seen it. And the weird thing is that I think it got brought in through it got brought in through like this old vanity from the 1800s that had a marble top. It was hand carved wood. I mean, the thing was gorgeous. It was a French made vanity, and people get and they fall in love with themselves, and back at that time, I mean, beauty and everything, you know, all they want to do is get fucking married and have kids and all that shit. And that's all fine and all that. But people fall in love with themselves. And then I feel like maybe that person like got trapped, or maybe they felt like they were close to this one object, so they stayed with it. But I remember any time I would pass by this fucking thing, give it day or night, it always felt like something was looking at me from the mirror. And I was so scared to fucking look at it.
And was that vanity, that was in the Austin house or the old ranch house?
That was in the Austin house.
Okay.
So whatever's been around has kind of just followed me.
Okay.
And it's not good. I try not to like feed into it, and I try not to like, you know, I used to go to like to scary fucking places and haunted houses and like cemeteries and try to see if there was anything there. And if I felt anything, and a lot of the times it was peaceful. I mean, you're not going to find anything in a cemetery. I mean, you might see some shit, but I don't know. I mean, the places that I used to go to were like scenes of violent crimes, murders, all kinds of stuff. So I would go around those areas, and you could feel some shit, dude.
Yeah.
Like, and certain places,
no one really dies in the cemetery. Usually that's like where people put to rest, right? So it's like if weird shit goes on, it's usually where there was trauma or some kind of attachment, you know? So I was just talking about that with someone the other day. It was like, you never get any weird vibes from a cemetery other than it just looks weird at night. You know what I mean? But
no, I've been to some like sites of like some serious murders, and you're like, oh shit, like you can feel it, dude, and it's heavy. Like, it gets fucking gnarly.
Yeah.
You wanna roll up to the Lizzie Borden house someday? I mean, it's like 15 minutes from you.
Yeah, I don't even think it's 15 minutes. Absolutely, man. Been meaning to do that. You know what I mean? We should do that. Do a set it up with them so that we could do like a live podcast or something from the Lizzie Borden house. Get some people that know the well versed in the history of everything. But yeah. You come out, man. We'll do that. Also, we can go to the on the border of Rhode Island and Connecticut. There's the Conjuring house. You can go there and stay there as well. And
you can stay.
You can stay there, yeah. And that one's really supposed to be really fucked up.
No shit.
We were going to try
the Lizzie Borden house is a bed and breakfast.
It is, yeah. And the Conjuring house, I know they used to let you stay there or camp out, or like you could kind of like hire it to like so that you could do investigations there. You could stay in the house. I think there's a new owner, but allegedly you still can. Like they're setting it up now, so I'll let you know. We'll talk offline about that because we were talking about maybe doing an M4 over there. Just like,
oh shit!
but yeah, we'll figure out something, right? But yeah, dude. I mean, I don't know. Was there anything else major that we didn't hit on? I remember a lot of these stories you telling me, but has anything happened recently with you? Like. And if tomorrow I'll probably get a call from you, be like, motherfucker, I was talking about this shit. Now motherfucker was in the bathroom peeping at me again.
It's weird too, because I don't have that. Usually when I'm talking about it, there's a sense of excitement that I go through, and I get really excited about things. But I mean, I haven't seen shit in a while, but that's because I choose to kind of block things out.
Yeah.
I mean, I'm sure. I've stayed in so many fucking hotels this past 2 years that I'm sure there's been some kind of fucking murder or death somewhere.
Yeah.
And if I open up myself to it, I'm pretty sure I could, feel it. But I mean, fuck, man. It's crazy, dude. Okay. So there's this other time, and this kind of solidifies like things following me. So I'm over at my friend Liz's house. My mother had kicked me out. I was like 16, trying to finish high school. They were 17, and we never saw eye to eye. So I ended up going to live with my friend Liz, right? And there's this one night, and I was like, "Hey, man, there's some fucking dark, evil shit in that room that I'm staying in. Like, it's a nasty fucking feeling, dude. My best fucking art came out of that room. My best fucking music came out of that room. It was this really heavy, depressed fucking feeling. It was the nastiest shit I ever felt, but it came from that time in my life. Like, came out of that room. And I guess somebody had died in that area. But she told me, yeah, I always kind of had a weird feeling about it because I used to sleep in that room. Well, this is what my friends told me. She's like, I used to sleep in that room and I ended up moving out to the other room because I always felt something weird out of that room.
Yeah.
And I'm like, oh, gee, thanks.
Thanks for the heads up. Yeah.
So here I come, right? Fucking. So.
Did you see anything or was it just feelings?
No, it was just feeling, but it was, oh shit, I'll tell you about this one. Freaked my fucking roommates out. But yeah, but I told her, hey, whatever it is getting closer to your door. And she's like, how do you know? And I'm like, I show her my arm, my goosebumps. The closer it gets, I can feel it just fucking like going through my body, and the door opened. As
you were getting goosebumps?
Yeah, it got stronger. That's how I know it's getting good, man. It's like, all right, something's gonna fucking happen. It's fucked up.
So it's almost like you felt it kind of building up energy to manifest to open the door.
Dude. Yeah, the closer it gets, it's like it's.
Was there a temperature change or anything?
You can feel the temperature sometimes, I'm sure, in that room. And the other room, it just kind of seemed like it was colder in the rest of the house.
Gotcha.
Yeah, definitely that room. The other time, it was fucking funny. Nobody would dorm with me back in college. So I had this real hardcore Christian fucking dude. He used to listen to Metallica, got away from it because he's like, oh, the devil's in that music and this and that. And I was like, all right, cool. Fucking right on. And he was a part of the church band, just always preaching the book or whatnot. I don't care. That's his business, not mine.
Yeah.
So I was talking to this friend of mine. Anyways, before this one, it was the same dorm room. I had two roommates on the other side, and I had one roommate that lived in my section, right? Same guy, church guy. We're watching the Expendables on at the time. I had set up a fucking projector on my wall, right? And we're watching the Expendables. We're fucking like just, chilling out, having a good time. And then my door opens. And I was like, the fuck? So I go out and I was like, what's up, dude? So my roommate, he kind of looked at me like confused. And I'm like, yo, who opened up the door? Like, I'll let all the fucking light in. He's like, dude, a shadow just kind of moved, hauling ass to your room right now. I was like, what do you mean a shadow? He's like, yeah, a fucking shadow just moved across the room, and I saw it from the corner of my eye, and then you come out saying your door opened. And I was like, all right, whatever, dude. So I just closed the fucking door. I was like, whatever. So I told a friend of mine that, and then she starts getting an argument with me about demons and all this shit. She started going down the Bible shit too, and I was like, oh, okay, fucking, I guess everybody's getting out of being an evil motherfucker. Everybody's retiring. So she's like, oh, demons are real and this and that. And I'm talking to her, and I'm like, look, I've seen some shit before, but they ain't fucking demons, man. Like, demons, that's a bunch of horse shit. So I'm talking to her about this. I'm outside our dorm, and I come back inside. I take a shower. Now, the bottom of these doors, there's a crack. You can see light piercing through, right? So I just had this intense conversation with a friend of mine. My goosebumps are rising. I guess I'm promoting like a bad energy. She ends up, we end up hanging up the phone. Right? I'm feeling like, fuck yeah, dude. Like, I kind of just schooled you, son. So I go inside. I jump in the shower. Like I'm saying, you can see the light coming through the bottom of the door. And apparently my roommate had said, oh, I'm moving out. And I was like, oh, that's cool. Yeah, that's fine. He's like, last night, there was something over my bed, and it was over me. And he was that whole bullshit about sleep paralysis through like an entity. He said, while you were in the shower, was holding me down.
Wow.
And I was like, all right, I get to put both beds together now. Yeah. I was like, more room for me. I don't really care. But after that, the whole thing went to the college about how I was some kind of satanic fucking dude. It's like, whatever. I mean,
but the thing never interacted with you like that. It never like.
I never. Other people, yes. Me, I mean, I'd seen things, but I never.
It never held you down or anything, or attacked you, or in any way.
The weirdest fucking thing I'd ever felt was where it felt like it was sucking something out of me. But my real father, apparently it's something called a brujo. My real father's dad, it's something called a brujo. It's like I don't know if it's like a medicine man or a witch doctor or some shit, but apparently my dad's father was some evil fucking dude, and my mother disliked my father very much, and I looked just like him, so she never liked me either. So maybe that's why I used to get my ass beat. But I never heard anything good come out of that side of the family. But I had heard that my dad's dad was a brujo, and that's, they basically promote the dark side or whatever, but that might be, if there's any merit to any of that stuff, maybe that's why I've seen shit my entire life. But I have to be open to it to actually, I guess, bring in that energy and to kind of let it play back and forth, because the only time that I can actually see things or feel things around me is if I play with it. You have to I don't know if the term's conjure, but you have to work with it. And I got good at doing it growing up. And people would see shit. Maybe, I don't know. I was a kid, I was stupid.
Yeah.
But there was an energy there that.
But how did you know how to work with that? Like, was it just something inside you that you just fucking around, like you knew how to work with it?
I guess so. Like, it was just like,
you didn't know your grandfather, right? Or did you?
Yeah.
Yeah.
No shit. I only knew my father for, I think I'd only been around him for like 5 minutes. My real father.
Yeah.
I never knew him that well.
Wow. Yeah, but that definitely could be a reason why you're around, those things are around you, man. It could, like, a generational thing, like like those things just run around your bloodline, or maybe,
Yeah. I mean, it's definitely been something I've wanted to talk to with our one of the members of our family. They so I'm Panapachi, but so we have a member of our family that happens to be like, he's kind of like not only like the council member, but like the high council, but he's also like I guess you would say the like the pastor or whatever, somebody that you can actually talk to about this kind of stuff. Because like the Navajos, the Dene, they have the skinwalkers. So I don't know if it's something to do with like being a part of a tribe too, that maybe like older things tend to follow you, like maybe a generational curse or some shit. But it's definitely fucking scary, because if I open myself to it, it just gets from bad to worse quick.
Yeah.
And other people can see that shit.
Yeah, and if you talk to him and he tells you about that, man, obviously let me know what that stuff is, man. You know what I mean?
Yeah.
Like, it'd be interesting to see what his take would be on that, like coming from, a cultural and ancestral background, what that explanation would be. But yeah, dude, I definitely appreciate you coming on tonight. We're almost at an hour here.
Oh, shit.
Was there anything else big? But you hit on so much stuff, and then you wait to the fucking last 2 minutes to say, yeah, my grandfather was a brujo. And fucking, you want to bring that? Yeah, of course I was gonna tie a lot of shit together, man. Like, you know what I'm saying? Fucking motherfucker.
I forgot about that. But yeah.
And you know what's funny is I remember you telling me that, and then like I totally blanked out on it too. But I'm like, I wonder why things are following fucking dude around. You know what I mean? And then it's like, oh, well, that could definitely be a reason, man. You know what I mean? Like something.
Yeah, dude, we definitely had a whole fucking podcast outside the fucking shop when I was out there a year ago.
Well, you've been out here a few times, but the one
like
time
when we were.
Oh, when we recorded.
When we were doing the podcast, we were just hanging outside, basically doing a whole fucking podcast.
That's how it always goes, dude. Like there's always the podcast before the podcast, and then the podcast after the podcast. You know what I mean? Like anytime.
It's like you almost have to surprise everybody so you can do that, because it's like trying to imitate like the excitement that happens between two people just naturally.
Yeah. I know, and that's why sometimes it's weird to re-talk about things we've already talked about. But like the way I'm looking at it is like there's a lot of people listening that never heard any of this, right? So it's like, but yeah, like you said, it's like the first time you're telling me about it, you're like super excited and aggro and fucking animated and stuff. But yeah, but dude, thanks for coming on, man. Let me shut this off. But to anyone listening, I am going to do more of these down the road. So if you have any weird stories, with cryptids or any kind of paranormal thing or aliens or whatever, demons, non-human intelligence, ghosts, whatever, hit me up, bigtruthpodcast@gmail.com or Instagram @bigtruth. Shoot me a message and we'll talk about it. And if you got some good stories, we will get you on the show. Dude, thanks. I'm not gonna hang up, but I'm just gonna shut the recording off here.
If you own a vehicle with less than 200,000 miles and have an auto warranty about to expire or no warranty coverage at all, listen up. CarShield has a low-cost month-to-month vehicle protection plan that covers more parts than ever. Visit carshield.com/audio to find out how you could pay almost nothing for covered auto repairs. Drivers who activate this vehicle protection today will also receive free roadside assistance, free towing, and car rental options at no additional cost. Get your free quote today at carshield.com/audio. That's carshield.com/audio.